everybody doing? Are you hanging in there? I gotta grab a cord. I gotta grab the cord. I'm just hanging out. I'm just hanging out. Big day of interviews, man. We're just like Tower of Power guys. Look at this. Is like, look at this light. Whoa, it's kind of spooky. I don't know if I like it. We're doing a series on Tower of Power. It's gonna be fun. And we've got Emilio Castillo, Doc Kupka, and David Garibaldi. David Garibaldi's coming up tomorrow, and then we'll have that, and we'll start working on that series next week. Very excited about that. Anyway, let me find the holy snapping. We have 8 people watching already. Oh no, someone left. They kind of saw my face and they went, I don't want no part of that stuff. Anyway, I can't blame you. Let me find, looking for the app. Hey there, John, good evening. Mike, how you doing, Mike? Thanks for being the first person to say something. I'm looking for you. I'm looking for YouTube on here. I can't find YouTube. Hold on, I'll find it. Damn, YouTube. Oh, nothing against YouTube. YouTube's been very good to us. Amazingly good to us. There we go. CJ Michael, why do you think live concerts when do you think live concerts will begin again? There are some concerts that are starting. I was just talking to a few people in the last few days, and they're hoping to get to it. See if I can get comfortable here. I just relax and hang out with you guys. Let me just put this down a little bit. Sorry, I gotta shift. Gotta shift on the fly. Hi, John, just got the notification. Oh, do you have the bell notification? I was watching a video today, by the way, and the person says, unless the person presses the bell notification, having subscribers doesn't help. And I'm going, that doesn't make any sense. Because sometimes we'll release a video and the first 30 seconds we'll have 100 views. So, I mean, I don't know. Kimberly Trickle. Hi, John. Hi, Kimberly. Kimberly's always been one of my favorite names, by the way. Not just saying that. Hello from St. Petersburg, Florida. Guy Williams. Guy, you've been on here before. Hi, thanks. Nice day. Look at my little dog at the corner. Rudy. Oh, no, that's Romy. He's the Havanese. Barks like a son of a beep. Like, seriously. That dog, lately, it's been so stressed out and barks an awful lot. So I don't know what's going on. Anyway, just hanging out. Danica, can you give me a tissue cookie? I call my wife Cookie, and I call tissue for Daddy. Get 2. 1, 2. Thank you. Sweet girl. Oh, I missed that last one. Is it Dubé? Did I ask you this before? Hey, John. Yelp bell notification. Yep, bell notification. Little late, isn't it? 10:17 here in Nova Scotia. Is it Nova Scotia? Didn't mean it to be. I always do this on the fly. It's always on the fly. I'm going, should I do one? I don't feel like doing one. I have to record my show in an hour. If I go on now, he said, yep. If I go on now, then I've got to tell, God, I can't. Danica? Yeah, get the dog. Thank you. Bell notification. I can't find YouTube now. I don't know what I'm doing. I press it twice, and there I am. There I am. I can watch myself. That's weird. Who's this guy? Anyway, no, I'm not in a weird mood. This is my real personality. What? I don't know why my nose drips every time I'm on doing this, but when I'm doing my radio show, my nose doesn't drip. I don't know why. Maybe I'm too excited. John Dubé, yes and yes. Okay. Wizard One Music. Have you heard Sting, The Tale by... I don't know. No, I haven't. Is this new? I haven't. Ronnie Parker. Ronnie from Northeast Tennessee. Is it Tennessee? What's that stand for? Been watching you for years. Thank you. I appreciate that. Your show is the best since the first 10 of 10 MTV in my teenage years. Oh, cool. Thank you. I'm thinking, by the way, of speaking of MTV, what do you guys think of me tracking down the VJs who are now on Sirius XM, like Martha Quinn and all the people who were on MTV? I was thinking of tracking them all down and interviewing them one at a time. I thought that would be some cool interviews, and they'd probably do it no problem. Thing about radio people, it's hard. It's easy to get radio people, because they're radio now, to do interviews because no one ever interviews us. So when someone asks me, hey, can I interview you? I always go, yeah, sure. I never ask, how many subscribers do you have? I don't care. Because we never get interviewed by anybody. So, I mean, they would get interviewed more than a schmuck like me, but I only notification if I click on the bell. Yes. Wizard One Music, 10 years after. What about 10 years after? Did you ask anything else here? Toro Porco. Mother, that's a mouthful for a username. By the way, someone the other day told me, he said, he was talking to me privately, and he says, you know, you look like a cartoon. I said, because I have like big features or something? I said, I don't know. I guess that's good. I'm unforgettable. Like a cartoon, like Bugs Bunny. Great to hear your voice. So cool. You worked with Len. Len Tucson was my first boss. Got my childhood rock education from Len, the golden voice, man. Len Tucson gave me my first job in 1983. First thing he had me do was, before he hired me, he says, you remember Flashdance in 83? He had me watch the movie, and before it ended, while the credits were out, to hold a microphone. I was so nervous. I swear I was shaking. And I had to interview people as they were coming out and ask them what they thought of the movie. And it was just so hard for me because I was such an introvert. But yeah, and Len sold me a $10,000 reel-to-reel. It's worth 10 because it's rare, for like $1,000. That's Len Tucson. He's a good guy. He fired me after 2.5, 3 years in radio, major market radio. I'd never been in radio before. And it was the best thing that he ever did to me. I told him, I said, you taught me more than anybody, and you were hard on me. He was really hard on me, but he was an amazing plethora of information for me. He really did. He did not let me get away with anything, and I was cocky back then. Wendy Lindsay, is Supertramp is still back again? What? What do you mean by that? They're not coming back. Mike Kaminsky, I'd like to say all the usernames just to honor you guys, because it's nice enough you're spending time with me. Any Lost album you want to see released, John? I don't know. I don't. Leave that with me. Greetings from the center of South America, Bolivia, Daniel Khatib. Hey, Daniel, thanks for joining. Hey, if any of you guys are not subscribers, you know, we're, like I always say, it's crazy that we haven't spent money on this channel. We've done 77,000 subscribers organically without paying for anything. We've never paid for hits, because some people, what they'll do is they'll turn off their comments on their videos. So you can't tell they're buying subscriptions because they'll have 20,000 hits, but yet only 5 people have commented or liked or disliked their videos. So they get caught that way, right? So some people, they like to turn off their notifications because they're buying hits. One thing I'll never do is videos and it'll be sponsored on Facebook, and you'll go, oh, they're paying money. They're trying to get up there. We should do that. Okay. Sticky Tape Records has retracted both your messages. I'm not sure why. Stacy Smith, have you ever had the privilege to talk to Brad Delp before? No. But have you seen, we put Barry Goudreau on today, and we're going to have Jim Mastia on the show in the next couple of weeks. So that'll be 2 people from Boston. And he was the original guy. He was actually in Boston longer than most members, extracting the current members who never really played on some of the albums. So not to take away from them, because good for them. Billy Rossi 46. Please give John a thumbs up. Oh, thanks. Trenton Paul. Hi, John. Cheers all. Sticky, I don't know, I have a word with a problem with that. Sticky Tape Records. How about Peter Hamill? What about him? it's strange when you look at me recording downstairs. For the longest time, I had a Peter Hamill album behind me. I don't remember the name of it. I think Rush has only a logical choice for drummer Stuart Copeland. Well, that's a good choice. Justin James Jewell. Hi, John. What are your thoughts on upcoming Peter Jackson restoration of Let It Be? I'm excited about that. Did you see the trailer? Very excited. Rick Baker would love interviews with the MTV VJs. Thank you. You're the only person who got back to me. I'm sure they could offer some fun stories. And that's the thing I'm looking for. All the albums that are turning 50 years old, I'm getting some really good quotes, by the way, from especially for the Zeppelin 4, which is turning 50 this year, more than any other albums. The pair of Yes albums, Carole King, Tapestry. What else am I getting good quotes of? Fairly good things. Steve Hackett gave me some good quotes. Rick Lee from 10 Years After, he gave me some good ones. Bob Merck. Hi, John. Hey, Bob. Kimberly Trickle. I'm enjoying your interviews, Joseph Williams and Steve Lukather. Kimberly, thank you. Kimberly, are we Facebook friends? Why does your name sound so familiar? I think we're Facebook friends, right? I know your name. Trenton Paul. Seen a heap of old metal guys lately with new stuff out. Thoughts? I don't really interview metal people. If we get 5, and this is new metal, that if you're not into new metal, you wouldn't know. Most of our channel is classic rockers, and people come to us for the older kind of stuff. But I've not heard a lot of, I don't listen to metal. It's just not my thing. It's not that I wouldn't report on it. I would if I had a chance to. My TV's on the wall there, and a woman just came up, and she was scantily clad, so sorry. I'm just a guy standing in front of a TV, hoping the scantily clad girl would love him. No, I just don't. Amy Thompson. Hi, John. Hi, Amy. Hope you're doing well tonight. Who else? Billy Rossi, 46. Have you ever interviewed Steve Winwood? No, but we're getting brave. We're getting brave. My wife is working with us more, and my wife is a freight train. She sells $1 million houses. She doesn't make $1 million, but she's not a realtor. She works for a new home company. And slowly she's starting to work with me more to, oh God, Demi Lovato. Anyway, some Demi Lovato special on TV, which I will not be watching. Okay, hold on. What do I use the TV for light, by the way. Stingray the Spa. There, I use that. Stingray the Spa is just a new agey station, but their background is always very, and I love new age music. Their background is always very bright. Anyway, no, I'm not a Demi Lovato fan. Yeah, Martha Quinn, yes, Toro, Porco. So we're getting more brave with interviews where my wife is going to start going and trying to get some interviews for us. She is a freight train. And a lot of you have seen Shannon. She's come on board with us. I mean, I always find it funny because people see me and Shannon together and they'll go, wow, you must make a lot of money. Shannon makes a lot more than I do. She didn't in the beginning, but she really found her footing. So, and she stuck with me. There you go. I met Don Felder a couple of years ago. A great guy, puts on a great show. We reached out to Don Felder's camp, and at the point we reached out, which was a few months ago, they told me, and it's a management company that I work with a lot, so they do like me. And they said, give it a few months, but they didn't promise me an interview. They just said he's not doing any interviews right now. Randy Rhodes died March 19th, 1982. Oh, man. Yeah, 2 more days. Ethan, this is from Sire Stamey. Ethan Harris. Hey, John, keep up the great work. Thank you, Ethan. I appreciate that. Ronnie Parker. By the way, if anybody's not subscribed and you're watching us right now, come on, subscribe. Because every single day, basically, we can't guarantee it, but basically every day, there's a new interview clip on our channel. Every day. I think we're recorded up till April 15th right now. And right now we're just stacking them now. Once we got to over a month ahead, we start stacking them of going, let's put 2 out tomorrow. Like Neil Donnell, who is the current tenor lead singer of Chicago, we're going to have him tomorrow, starting a series of a 6-video series with him. Excuse me, he talks about some of the negative press that he's getting from some of the fans and how difficult sometimes it is, right? I kind of came to his defense one day when his mother had passed away, and he just said, enough's enough, man, And I got on there and I did a video to his defense, and his son reached out to me and said thank you. And I did mention in the video that he was my least favorite of all the tenors of Peter Cetera, Jason Scheff, Jeff Coffey, and him. But it doesn't mean I don't like him. I like the other guys better. And I still do. It's because I interviewed him. I interviewed Jeff Coffey as well. And we've got an interview with Peter Cetera on this channel, which I didn't do, but I was given a whole bunch of interviews from a friend of mine. Look at the dogs just hanging out in the back, licking their thing. Have you ever interviewed Peter Gabriel? No, I interviewed Tony Levin and what's the drummer's name? Sometimes I'll go blank. At night I get tired. How about Camel interview? I haven't interviewed Camel, no. I used to play the Snow Goose on a New Age channel that Jerry Murata, that's the name. I interviewed, I used to do a New Age channel called Nightlight. I left rock and roll for a little while. I was syndicating this rock show across the country, and I got sort of disheartened with rock and roll because I went, oh my God, I put so much work into this rock show. It's heard on between 42 and 46 markets across the country, which might not seem like a lot, but it was pretty cool. And then slowly people stopped using syndicated programming. So then I was offered a job in New Age music, and I kind of loved Windham Hill anyway, and the ECM stuff before people were calling. ECM wasn't New Age, but their stuff could be played on a New Age station. Anyway, so I played Camel the Snow Goose on there. Billy Rossi 46, thoughts on Robin Ford? I got a Robin Ford interview from a friend of mine quite a few years ago. I got to dig that up. Sire Stamey, sorry, I have problems with your name. The greatest song of all time, Supper's Ready by Genesis, yeah. And Steve Hackett agreed. Even the people who are surrounded by the Genesis camp that we've interviewed an awful lot, they all love it. John Beaudin, also a huge Genesis fan. Sire, you are, good for you. Hey, you guys check out a rock history book. We do the top Genesis albums countdown based on thousands of votes we got, and the top Genesis songs. And you'll see what's #1. Check it out. Just look up top Genesis rock history book. Just look that up and you'll find they're on that channel. Bill Bruford, we interviewed Bill a couple of years ago. Great interview. It was a phoner though. I wish he would have come on screen, but it was a phoner. It turned out good. Bob Merck. I turned 13 just when the 70s began. You're a little older than me. I was 10. I thank God that I grew up in the greatest era of music. My older sister left all her 45s from the 60s to cover the decade too. Thanks for what you do. Hey, Bob, that's kind of cool. I appreciate it when you guys share stories like that to make it not just about me and, hey, John, what do you think about Blue Dots? I don't mind answering your question. Don't get me wrong. But I kind of like it when you guys share your story. You can leave it. We'll leave a message. Favorite Chicago song? Anybody know what time it? Does anybody know what time it is? Yeah. We talk about Robert Lamb in the interview that's starting tomorrow. We don't talk to Robert Lamb, but it's okay. You can let it go. Robert Lamb comes up an awful lot. Anyway. Love your channel, Carter W. Thank you. Remember, guys, subscribe. I'd like to, at the end of the video, remember, this is not representative of our stuff. Now and then, once a week, I like to come on and just say hi to you guys and answer your questions and see how you're doing. Toro Porco, Barry Bowman, thumbs up. Amy Thompson, any recent news on how Randy Meisner is doing? No, I haven't reached out to Randy at all since I interviewed him. And I know it's one of the longest interviews on the internet of Randy Meisner. I think a cousin of his set it up, if I remember correctly. I keep forgetting how I got that interview. I think it was his nephew or something. Alan Greenwood, what does everybody think of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Well, I think they should induct people before they die. Can we start there? Carter W. Chester Thompson, organist. Chester Thompson, drummer. What about it? What? Barry Bowman, Genesis Squirrel. Dun, 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 dun. Love that song. Love that song. Have you ever wanted a Gary Weaver? Have you ever wanted to interview any of the surviving Cowsills? Yes. Oh, John Beaudin. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. That's the generous of you for your super chatting us. Hi, John. So what are the chances of getting David Page? I haven't reached out to him. I've got his personal email address. I have reached out to him before, and he said he wasn't doing interviews. He's working on an album. We know that. And Luke told me that, and Joseph Williams told me that. Whether it ever comes to fruition, and it's strange of all people not to release solo stuff, it's him. But he was the heart of Toto for a lot of years. Now it's Lukather, but he was the heart of Toto. The sun's going down. Can you tell the lighting's changing? Oh, there. Ooh, that's weird. It's the... Okay. Hey there, you're back again. Tepid Tooth 85. You gotta love someone named Tepid Tooth 85. Did you see Kansas are releasing a new live album? I saw that, Point of No Return. Yeah, I just saw that today while I was doing an interview. I'm happy about that. I'm going to try to track them down. Yeah. Phil Ehart. Last time I asked him for an interview, he said, no, I'll pass. I'm like, oh, come on. I'm a drummer. I interview drummers. Lots of drummers. Most of the time, it's just a coincidence that it's drummers. I don't necessarily go, that's a drummer, I'll interview him. Okay, this is Rick Baker. Which decade do you consider to be the most creative and inclusive from all different styles? I was born in the early 60s. I was born in 1960, personally. So for me, the 70s changed everything, rock, pop, soul, you name it. I interviewed a gentleman today, and we'll release his videos in the next week. He's a concert promoter. He's just released a new book. And I asked him about something that Jack Temchin told me, the Glenn Frey's co-writer. I asked him about the 60s. He says, you were there, what was it like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm always expecting some interesting answers from that question. I ask a lot of people that question. And I changed the answer after I talked to Jack Temchin. Jack told me, he says, well, the 60s never ended till about 72, 73. And when you look at all the albums that are celebrating 50 years, they're not necessarily psychedelic 60s albums, but they're like a harder version of what was happening in the 60s. And now I'm asking all the artists, because of what Jack Temchin said, especially if they were there, if they were teenagers in the 60s, which I was not. In 67, I was 7, the Summer of Love. I ask, well, what was the change for you? And I always quote Jack Temchin of going, because Jack kind of said that the 60s ended in 72, 73. You might have said 71. And I always get good quotes. But everyone talks about 71. A lot of people mention 71 because it was such a big thing. The Cowsills were a band with some, what they dealt with rock and roll, right? The typical rock and roll stuff. Daniel Khatib, that is how I say it. Is David Page having problems with using of the Toto name by Steve Lukather? No, he's not at all. He's not. No, he doesn't care. That's so crazy. I'm in a haunted house. No, I'm not. I'm in a haunted house. Good afternoon, John. It's Isaac Rain from Facebook. Hi, Isaac. How are you and your family? I saw, have you ever in there? Oh, we're good. We're good. We're looking at our options of where we want to live in the next 5 years. We live in Calgary, Canada, Calgary, Alberta, Canada. And it's cold in the winter. And I don't know if any of you guys 55 or over or 60 and over, I'm 61, that the winters are starting to get more difficult for me personally. I'm not feeling the love, man. I'm not thinking that I want to stay in this city, I mean, our option is always to move to British Columbia, which is, you know, where Vancouver is, and the Okanagan is where Penticton, where my wife is from, and or moving to Kelowna, which is 45 minutes away or something like that. Okay, Amy Thompson, such a great guy. Wish you'd reach out to him again. Love your interview with him. Thank you, Amy. Tepid Tooth 85. Did you ever know Chris Slade, drummer of Razor's Edge? No. Was a drummer for Man, including Blinded by the Light? I did not. Toro Porco. It's such weird lighting when I do that, eh? Any news on Lindsey Buckingham? I managed to see him perform in November before he had his heart attack. Oh, good for you. I've never seen them. I had tickets to Fleetwood Mac. I was on like the 5th row or something, and then they canceled last minute. We were walking to Pacific Coliseum in Vancouver, and they turned us away and said, the show's canceled. I was so disappointed. I got tickets from the radio station. They got me really good tickets. Bob Merck, the first interview you did with Barry was good. I enjoyed when he and Delp formed RTZ when Boston broke up. You know, he left Boston, Brad Delp, to be in RTZ. I mean, there was a lot of reasons, and he came back, of course. And we talk about RTZ. Everyone keeps saying, don't forget RTZ. I'm like, well, I'm not going to. And by the way, I interviewed Barry Goodrow twice. I interviewed him yesterday morning, quickly, because I emailed him. I said, Barry, let's do a thing on your new album. Because he sent me the tracks, and I was just floored by how good it was. I went, man, let me help you promote this. Let's do a track by track, like we did with Steve Lukather, Luke, and Joseph Williams. Sorry. And he said, sure, let's do it. And then we had trouble sort of connecting. And at one point, he just emailed me and said, John, are you available right now? And I said, I'm available. So I said, give me half an hour. I went downstairs. We all set up, and we did the track by track. So there you go. So we talk about, we have a lot of clips. And I asked him, I said, let's talk again. Let's talk about music and your life. And he said, yeah, anytime you want. He said, you got my email at any time? Tom Demeline, when are you going to have Henry Diltz on again? He is an amazing man. I just reached out to the lady who got me a hold of Henry, and I'll have him on. I'll make a point of trying to get him on in the next couple of weeks. Henry was one of my favorite interviews I've ever done in my life. Just a delight. Just a beautiful human being. You know who he said one of his best friends is? Jerry Beckley of America. You know, one of the 3 lead singers. Well, Dan Peake's dead, and he left in 77. But he loves, and I told him, I said, I love Jerry Beckley. I loved interviewing Jerry. I should track him down again. Obviously, Henry could hook us up. So there you go. Someone told me Lindsey is back in Fleetwood Mac, but I think it's exaggeration. I think I know who you heard that from. Did you hear that from that guy? That guy? No, he's not in Fleetwood Mac again. But I think he will be. I think they'll make it happen. I think Stevie and Lindsey I think they'll put their differences, out the window, and I think they're going to work together again. I was meaning to do an interview on Mick Fleetwood's rebuttal of what Christine McVie said, but I was just busy with interviews, so I didn't do it. Sorry about that. I wish I could put it's too bright. Hold on a second. Let me go into the settings, because this is brightness. There you go. That's better. Oh, the dog's looking at me. Hi. Oh, did you hear my dogs love that sound, eh? Not really. No, they don't like it at all. Okay. So you got to watch when a vlogger comes on YouTube and announces something and no one else is announcing it. You always have to be suspicious. And always be suspicious of someone who claims to have connections with Fleetwood Mac or Journey or Chicago. Always be leery of people who do that. Don't trust them. Because they would make an announcement about it. They're not going to tell some vlogger with like 25,000 hits or something. And nothing against them, but you can't trust people who do that. I don't like spreading rumors on this channel. I won't do, now and then. The fastest way you can get blocked on this channel is to claim we're clickbait. If anyone ever does that, I don't care who they are. I'll always say, you're gone. I wasn't taught when did the journalistic part in my radio career. I wasn't taught to do that. That's just one thing that just boils me. Again, I'm in the kitchen, take the heat, not with that. I don't try to do that. Mistakenly, sometimes we'll do something that's kind of like that. And I know that's usually people who don't know us. And then and the biggest thing that gets me is when Ultimate Classic Rock's one of my favorite sites. I love those guys. I think they write good stuff. When they started doing things on movies, I wasn't sure why they were doing that, but I'd read it and I'd enjoy it. So I love Ultimate Classic Rock, the website. I highly recommend them. And sometimes it's rare now because I've got so many interviews going on, but I will go on there and take a story. Like today there was a story on Hart and Ann Wilson talking about her weight. I had a gentleman come on a little while ago who mentioned Ann Wilson's weight. And I said, we don't need another person talking about that. And he wasn't saying bad things, but it was just in the manner that it was said that I went, I'm not going to put that on. And he wasn't an ex-member of Hart. It was just, I remember thinking, yeah, that's a little too close to, I'm not going to do, I don't want to be the guy that's not necessary. I'm not going to put that up there. So now and then we just won't go there. I don't know where I was going with that, but it was going to be awesome, whatever it was. Okay, Bob Merck. The first interview you did with Barry was good. Okay, I already know that. Tepid Tooth 85. Someone told me, we got that already. Daniel Khatib. No, okay, I'm way behind here, sorry. 70s was the best music. Well, it was if you were raised in the 70s. I think it was. But I get educated. I mean, the good thing about, I know they don't pay artist rights, but the good thing about Spotify is I go in there and I was listening to Howard Jones today. I told myself, why didn't I ever buy a Howard Jones album in the 80s? Then I went, well, it's not too late. My thing, and you've heard me say this before, is I will go, and this is why I went to Howard Jones. I went to Howard Jones to say any song on those albums, because I didn't have the albums. I'm going to put them on an 80s file and group or whatever they call it on Spotify. And I'm going to put all songs that I have never heard before. I never bought a Go-Go's album. I mean, not a big Go-Go's fan. I know I interviewed Kathy Valentine's, but I like their music. So I went, all these bands that I never bought the albums, there's tons of music on there that sounds like the 80s, and I could have like a 9,000 song mixtape catalog of songs from the 80s that sound like the 80s that I've never heard before. And I went, what a great idea. So, I've got great ideas. Oh, yeah. Okay, anyway. Bob Merck agreed. Amy Thompson. Tepid Tooth 85. Thoughts on Tom Brislin? I think he's fantastic. He is, and Tom's such a great interview. What a nice human being he is. I mean, seriously. I love the man. What a great interview he gave us. I've got his contact information. I should reach out to him and get another interview. IR24. John, have you ever had any chance or would you talk to any of the members of the old bands, from Texas, ZZ Top? My dad introduced me to them the day I was born. I've not reached out to them, but I should. Isn't it weird that the only guy who didn't have a beard in the 80s, last name was Beard in ZZ Top? That's weird. Okay. Tepid Tooth 85. Wow, I didn't think you were 61. Good lighting from outside. Wait till it gets dark. Be afraid. I'm just a big kid, though. That's the thing. When I do my videos and I'll get behind the green screen and I do here's part one of our, that's kind of a comfort zone for me to do that. I found that kind of thing and I'm going, well, I'm comfortable doing it that way. of being somewhat authoritative a little bit in my delivery, and I'm kind of comfortable doing that. I like the way the professor of rock. I like the way he delivers. I really like him. Pete Pardo is really good. Sea of Tranquility. Rick Beato is fantastic, but there's not a lot of other people that I watch, and I barely watch them. I think Pete Pardo's great. I just love the stuff. I liked his interview with who was he interviewing that I just interviewed? I keep forgetting. I'm doing so many interviews. Like this week, I did 6. No, it'll be 6 tomorrow. Crazy. My patience for winter gets shorter as I get older. Haha. Dyslexic. I agree with you. It's crazy. IR24, nice to hear you and your family are good. Thank you. Tepa 285, as in Razor Jet ACDC. I'm not sure what you mean. Randall Anderson, enjoy your PAU. What? Alan Murphy, born and raised, cannot stand Alberta winters. Love it here in Europe. Alan, I get you. I think this is going to be our last winter in Alberta. I think so. My son was born in Calgary. Mel O'Brien. Oh, cool. Shannon was born in Calgary, but then they moved to the Okanagan. And then for our autistic daughter, we needed to have funding. So we moved here from Vancouver. We lived in beautiful Vancouver. I lived there from 89 to 2002. I love Vancouver. Shannon will never move back. It's just too expensive. I cannot afford, this is our house, but I can't afford to live in Vancouver. Tepa 235. It was mind-blowing to learn for me. Randall Anderson, enjoying your Paul Carrick interviews. Thank you. We have a lot more segments. Paul was hard to clip because here's how I clip our interviews. I'll have an interview, and Chase was doing Neil Donnell of Chicago right now, which part 1 will be coming out tomorrow. We never stop. People say, how do you find the time to put so much interviews up? Well, Chase and I are working all the time. I couldn't put this many interviews up without Chase. Thanks, Chase. Yeah. Yep. Chase is 17. He's a great drummer. Look up Chase Tom Sawyer Rush. You'll see him when he was 9 doing Tom Sawyer. Neil Peart sent him concert use sticks when he saw him play. Tom Sawyer. He's a great drummer. He was just drumming a while ago. He just didn't want to be a YouTube star. He said, Dad, I don't want to be a YouTube star. There's 9 million kids playing drums. Anyway, Guy Williams, 65 to 78, was where all my songs were written. A lot were published in 90 to 2005. Country, 60s, 70s, rock and roll. I love old country. I find comfort in old country these days. Okay, show this comment from... Oh, Dyslexic. Subscribe to Rock History Music. Oh, it's Rock History Canada. That's what it is. I know I say Canada really weird. I say it like a Canada sometimes, like an American. And that's okay, because I love Americans. So there. And I'm not being sarcastic. It needs some love, folks. Yeah, please subscribe to Rock History Canada. We're not at 1,000 subscribers yet. We're on the verge, and I know I've said this for a little while, but we've got Murray McLaughlin coming up, and Mark Jordan interview. Mike Reno of Loverboy coming up. We're going to put some of our Neil Donnell on there. For Canadian fans, Jimmy Rankin, who's one of my all-time favorite Canadian performers on there. A lot of people. Greg Godovitz, he's coming up. Who was your first big interview? I think probably Randy Meisner. I think at that point, that was my biggest interview. And I wasn't even looking for the interview. I think, like I said, his nephew reached out to me. I'd heard something that I'd done. I was syndicating a lot back then, radio shows, and might have heard me, but reached out and found me and said, would you like to interview my uncle? I think it was his nephew. I should know this stuff, but it was a long time ago. Do you have the first interview I ever did with the Canadian band Trooper? And I was very nervous. And there's a picture on my Facebook page of me sitting across from Ray McGuire. R.A., he spelled his name, Ray McGuire. John Monahan. Sorry, I'm mental blank. Do you have any insight to the backstage drama that went on towards the end of the last Toto tour with Luke talking about, specifically bad between him and Shem. I've talked to both of them privately about it, and I can't really say anything. Like I was just talking, we didn't talk about Luke, but I was just talking to Shem like was it last week or the week before? And then I talked to him a few days before that. And, you know, I consider Shem a friend. I wouldn't say I consider Luke a friend, but I know Luke, and he's emailed me late at night after shows, and we've gone back and forth. I love that. I think Luke's a great musician, you know, and I'm glad I know him, at least. So I have, this is where some vloggers would go to town and with this kind of stuff. And I just look at that as being, it's not necessary at this point. I think Luke's said what he believes, right? Shem is not the type of guy that's going to say something about that. He's just not the type of guy. And Shem is incredibly busy. Not that that would make a difference. Okay. Guy Williams, 5 years old to 18 years old. Orbitson, hey, oh, welcome back. Time to move to a warm climate. Look what it's done for Ringo. Isn't Ringo an amazing? I would love to interview Ringo. Oh my. And I would never ask Luke for, hey, can you hook me up with Ringo? Because I won't do that to people I know. But, you know, I'd love to talk to Ringo so much. Rhonda Wilkins, what do you think about Paul Stanley's new Soul Station project? I think good for him. Good for him for wanting to do something different. Paul seems like an interesting chap to me. Always has been. Interview him in a second. Amy Thompson, do you happen to know how Cindy Fry is doing? No, but next time I talk to Alan, his brother, I'll ask, because he's in contact with her. And I used to talk to Alan almost every day. I haven't in a while, but, you know, we haven't fallen out or anything. This is Glenn Fry's brother. So I'll ask him how she's doing. I remember the first time my friend and he showed me a picture of Glenn and Cindy. And I remember his reaction. It was at the radio station. And he said to me, and she is a beautiful woman, but his reaction was just, oh my God, that's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen in my life. She does have an incredible look, but I remember thinking he was going to say, oh, good for Glenn or something like that. But he just said, she's the most beautiful woman I've ever seen. She is a beautiful woman. Tepid Tooth 85. Well, my grandma told me, but she probably heard it on TV on a blown up news story. What about Lindsey Buckingham? Is that what you're talking about? Sorry, I can't keep track of who says what because it's too much comments. Thank you for not mentioning that guy. Yeah, that's just childish to me. But all the power to him. You know, I never watch his videos. I can't. But all the power to him. You know, he's trying to make a living like all of us. Brent, do you know why Journey delayed releasing a single from their new album? No idea. I used to have a few connections there. Long story. No, I still know them, but anyway. Bill Rossi, 46. Anyone else have corned beef and cabbage? What? Mike Kaminsky, Nancy Wilson, still dreamy. Yeah, she's a beautiful lady. But I you know, when I heard Ann Wilson talking about how people were judging her because of her weight and she's getting panic attacks and people were reviewing their concerts and they were talking about her appearance, I don't judge people by whether they're, what size they have. I mean, you know, Shanna was a size 1 when I met her in 97. She's still a size 1. If she wasn't a size 1, I'd love her anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter. I don't look at Ann Wilson any differently than I did when they released their second album, Little Queen. You know, I don't look at her any different. You know, I still think she's a wonderfully beautiful, talented woman. I still think Ann Wilson is one of the most beautiful women I've ever seen. You know, and one of my favorite vocalist, male or female, of all time. Howard Jones is the best and super nice guy. I tried to get an interview, Mechanical Animal, with Howard through a re-release company last year, but they said he wasn't doing interviews. Dead Sea Genesis. John, did you ever see Genesis in concert? I saw them twice. I saw the Duke tour. I cried. I know I'm always talking about crying when I listen to music, but it happens to me. I get really emotional sometimes. It hasn't happened in a long time because I'm an old fart now. When you're 61, I think you're not allowed to cry for music. No, I'm just joking. I saw the self-titled Genesis album. I saw that tour, and I saw Duke. And I was going to see Steve Hackett, but I wasn't even in town. He offered me free tickets. Orbitson, Howard Jones should tour with Tom Jones and call it Keeping Up with the Joneses Tour. Oh, you're awesome.